Today I attempt to do the impossible, something that is very difficult for the average person to do, and that's name the greatest player from each franchise in NBA history. Now, here's the thing, it's going to be absolutely impossible for me to have a consistent list with all other analysts, so I would like you to take a moment and construct your own list, or if you want, even just pick your 5 most favorite teams and say for sure these are the greatest players on these teams of all time. Now, bear in mind, some of the players are still playing in the NBA, and there's one specific player that made it for multiple teams. Now, before we jump into this, guys, I want to remind you that I live stream on Twitch on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays at 9 p.m. Pacific time. You can find me on Instagram on @TheFlightMike. And this video is also sponsored by... Listen up, guys, because we have a new product alert from my absolutely favorite sponsor and a huge friend of the channel, Manscaped.com. They released a brand new product that, to be honest, I desperately needed, and that's the Weed Whacker Nose and Ear Hair Trimmer. Now, oh my god, I really can't believe I'm telling you guys this story, but have you ever been on a date with a girl and she kind of points out your nose hairs like while she's sitting across from you? Well, that's happened to me before. And dude, it was by far the most embarrassing thing on earth because I typically don't trim my nose hair. Thankfully, Manscaped is changing the grooming game with the Weed Whacker Nose and Ear Hair Trimmer. And they've spent over a year reinventing the traditional nose hair trimmer using only the best materials for the best performance and comfort possible. The way Manscaped is different from your traditional ear and nose hair trimmer is they use the same skin-safe technology from their lawnmower body trimmer, which helps reduce nicks, snags, and tugs, and anything else that would just cause you crazy pain as you're grooming yourself. They use a 9,000 RPM motor with a 360-degree rotary dual blade system to safely whack your nose hairs. It's water resistant, so you could take it in the shower, and it's the only nose hair trimmer on the market with a cordless rechargeable lithium-ion battery that lasts for up to 90 minutes of use. Now, if you happen to not purchase the lawnmower yet, well, I have some good news for you. The Weed Whacker is included in their brand new performance package, and typically a Weed Whacker, Crop Preserver, Crop Reviver, and Lawnmower 3.0 would cost you about $200, but now their performance package and peak hygiene plan is only $109.99. But get this, you can get an additional 20% off of your purchase if you use my promo code FlightMike for 20% off. That's promo code FlightMike for 20% off on Manscaped.com. And thank you, Manscaped, for the sponsor. Mic check 1 2 1 2. Let's just jump straight into this because I feel like this is going to be a very long video. So for the Atlanta Hawks, we're going to start with Dominique Wilkins. The human highlight reel is without a doubt the most iconic player in Atlanta Hawks history, averaging 26 points a game over 12 seasons for Atlanta. On top of that, Dominique Wilkins won a scoring title and led the Atlanta Hawks to 8 playoff appearances throughout his career. For the Boston Celtics, and man, I could already feel the fact that I'm drawing the ire of Celtic fans. No matter who I choose here, it really doesn't matter, so I might as well just say it. It has to be Paul Pierce. No, I'm just kidding. It's not Paul Pierce. It has to be Bill Russell. Typically would say, hey, Bill Russell played in a much less competitive time, but here's the thing, man. Championships are championships. In 13 seasons with the Boston Celtics, Bill Russell won 11 championships. And in all honesty, he is an incredibly important civil rights pioneer and also the first black superstar in the NBA. You'd be shocked at how weak the Brooklyn Nets candidates are for their greatest player of all time. Literally, I have to choose between Jason Kidd, Vince Carter, and I guess Devin Harris or even Darren Williams. So we're going to have to stick with Jason Kidd, who averaged 15 points, 7 rebounds, and 9 assists a game over 7 seasons with the New Jersey Nets of the time. And he also led them to back-to-back appearances in the NBA Finals, although he wasn't really able to convert. He was a walking triple-double that led the Brooklyn Nets all-time in assists and steals. For the Charlotte Hornets, their greatest player of all time was actually recently dishonorably discharged from the roster. And I'm talking about Kemba Walker. No player in Charlotte Hornets history has more win shares than Kemba Walker. Throughout 8 years for the Charlotte Hornets, Kemba Walker consistently got better and better every season. He recently became a consistent all-star, and it's just a shame that they lowballed him when he was trying to leave, and then they tried to replace him with scary Terry Rozier. Michael Jordan opted for a rebuild in a new direction. Speaking of Michael Jordan, let's talk about the Chicago Bulls' greatest player of all time. We really don't need to dive into this, and it's clear that it's Michael Jordan, but we'll take a moment to stroke MJ's ego a little bit. He made 6 NBA Finals, won the championship every single time he made it to the NBA Finals, was named Finals MVP every single time he was there. He's a 10-time scoring champion and a 5-time league MVP. If it wasn't for Michael Jordan, the NBA wouldn't be on the mainstream. People weren't watching the NBA like that before MJ's time. He was extremely marketable and incredibly electric. For the Cleveland Cavaliers, we obviously have to go with LeBron James. LeBron may have not been in Cleveland for his entire career, but you have to understand that he has won 2 MVPs, a scoring title, and led the Cavaliers to 5 NBA Finals. He may have only won 1 championship, but he got that championship against a 73-win team after an iconic 3-1 series comeback, with this truly career-defining moment being the chase-down block on Andre Iguodala in Game 7. He was homegrown, home-raised, and was the one to bring a championship to Cleveland. For the Dallas Mavericks, we have Dirk Nowitzki, and he has almost 3 times as many win shares as his next closest Mavericks competitor. He's scored over 31,000 points in his entire career, all of them being for Dallas, and he's only played for Dallas. He's ranked 7th all-time in scoring and won league MVP in 2007. But his playoff run in 2011, where he won his lone championship against the newly formed Miami Heat Big Three, cemented his legacy as the greatest Dallas Maverick in NBA history. For the Denver Nuggets, man, I wonder if I'm going to piss off some Nuggets fans here. I was originally going to say Carmelo Anthony, but it's actually Alex English, and here's why. You might not know this, but Alex English averaged 26 points a game in 11 seasons with the Denver Nuggets, winning a scoring title and making 8 All-Star games. He leads Denver all-time in games, minutes played, field goals, points, offensive rebounds, and assists, and he scored more points than any other player in the 80s. For the Detroit Pistons, we're going to go with Isaiah Thomas. Isaiah Thomas led the Pistons all-time in points, assists, and steals. He's made 12 All-Star games, and he was able to win 2 championships and was named Finals MVP for one of them. Of course, he did get a lot of help from great teammates like Joe Dumars, Dennis Rodman, and Bill Laimbeer, but still, Isaiah Thomas is the greatest player in Detroit Pistons history. This one probably was the hardest one for me because the Golden State Warriors have had some remarkable talents in league history. And the popular choice here would be Wilt Chamberlain, but the one thing that bugs me about Wilt Chamberlain's career is, although he was the most dominant player in the entire history of the Warriors, he didn't really win a championship ring with them. But he still won league MVP as a rookie, and he has the 3 highest scoring NBA seasons and the 3 highest rebounding seasons in NBA history, all in just half a decade with the Golden State Warriors. I was originally going to say Steph Curry because Steph Curry won 2 MVPs and he's won multiple championships with the Warriors as well. But at the end of the day, I'd have to say that Wilt Chamberlain is the most dominant player. But in terms of what each player has accomplished, I'd say what Steph Curry was able to accomplish was more impressive. But let me know in the comment section down below where you would lean for the Warriors. Would it be Wilt Chamberlain? Would it be Steph Curry? Would it be Kevin Durant? Or would it be Klay Thompson? I'd like to hear what you have to say. For the Houston Rockets, I have Hakeem Olajuwon up here, and this is fairly easy because although James Harden is killing it statistically for himself, Hakeem Olajuwon helped the Rockets to win back-to-back NBA titles in the mid-90s. Hakeem was able to capitalize upon Michael Jordan's brief retirement and score him 2 NBA championships and NBA Finals MVP in those same years, and league MVP as well. And he is also one of the greatest defensive players of all time. For the Indiana Pacers, we have Reggie Miller, and the only thing Reggie Miller's career is missing is a championship. He scored over 25,000 points in 18 seasons with Indiana and was one of the greatest shooters in NBA history. Could you imagine if Reggie played in the NBA today? There's no doubt in my mind that Reggie Miller would have been a walking bucket. For the Los Angeles Clippers, we have Chris Paul, and the Clippers are lucky because they got Chris Paul in his prime. He would only play 6 seasons with the Clippers, but in those 6 seasons, he would average 20 points and 10 assists per game, and would also lead the league in steals 3 times during his tenure with the Clippers. CP3 was the engine that made the Clippers tick, and without a doubt, we got some great basketball out of them during those years. For the Los Angeles Lakers, this is again another very difficult one, and I guess I'm a little bit biased here. And maybe because of how things have been going recently, I'm saying it's Kobe Bryant. I understand that many people will say Magic Johnson, but Kobe's impact on the lives of the millennials in Los Angeles goes even beyond that. Now, there's no way I can definitively prove that Kobe is the greatest Laker of all time, because you have Magic, you have Kareem, you have Jerry West, but in terms of influence and success on the court, nobody deserves this spot more than Kobe Bryant. For the Memphis Grizzlies, I have Marc Gasol. And this one's fairly easy because Marc Gasol is the franchise leader in points, rebounds, and blocks. He won Defensive Player of the Year, and he also was able to get to 3 All-Star games with the Grizzlies. For the Miami Heat, this one's absolutely easy, man. Without a doubt, it has to be Dwayne Wade. Dwayne Wade at his peak was one of the game's most unstoppable scorers, and NBA fans should be very grateful that Wade was able to adapt his game and continue to be great throughout a plethora of injuries. Wade is a 13-time All-Star and a 3-time NBA champion, and he remains one of the game's most recognizable faces. For the Milwaukee Bucks, I have Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, because people truly forget how remarkable Kareem's career was. He won 3 MVPs with the Bucks in 6 seasons and averaged 30 points and 15 rebounds per game in 6 seasons there. He helped the Bucks win their only championship in franchise history and is still the Bucks' all-time leader in points and rebounds to this day. I'm thinking of making a video on Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and how good he truly was, because I feel like he is almost never mentioned in the GOAT debate. Let me know in the comment section if that is something that you'd be interested in seeing and where Kareem ranks all time for you. For the Minnesota Timberwolves, I have Kevin Garnett, who leads the Timberwolves all-time in games, minutes, points, steals, assists, rebounds, blocks, and free throws. Kevin Garnett made 10 All-Star teams with the Timberwolves, and no NBA franchise is more encompassed in one single player. For the New Orleans Pelicans, I have Chris Paul, which is kind of crazy because Chris Paul is also the greatest player in Clipper history. He edges Anthony Davis in franchise win shares, and he finished second in the 2008 MVP race. Chris Paul led the then Hornets to the playoffs 3 of his 6 years and won at least 37 games every year. Davis's Pelicans have only hit that number twice. Paul is just the more efficient and better player, and he is the only best player listed for 2 different NBA franchises here. For the New York Knicks, I have Walt Frazier. I originally wanted to say Patrick Ewing, but Walt Frazier was able to win the Knicks 2 NBA championships in the 70s. He scored 19 points a game over a decade with the Knicks as well. He also played in 7 All-Star games and was named to the All-Defense team 7 times too. Now, today, Walt Frazier actually does the commentary for the Knicks, but I wanted to give a shout out to Patrick Ewing because he is one of the most iconic big men in the history of the NBA. I just really wish he could have won a championship. For the Oklahoma City Thunder, I'm going to give it to Russell Westbrook because Kevin Durant did leave and Kevin Durant was the better player during his time there. But Russell Westbrook arguably has the same exact accolades as Kevin Durant, if not even more. Plus, he has the fact that he was loyal to the franchise. After averaging a triple-double for the last 3 seasons, we need to give Russell Westbrook the respect he deserves. For the Orlando Magic, I have Dwight Howard. Now, I know you guys are going to be thinking, what? Dwight Howard? But bro, you don't understand. There was a time in the early 2010s where the number 1 player in the NBA was LeBron James. The number 2 player was Dwight Howard. He won the rebounding title 5 times. He was named the Defensive Player of the Year 3 times and was the best defender in the league when he was a member of the Orlando Magic, and was a phenomenal lob threat and an offense that was a decade ahead of its time. Man, the Philadelphia 76ers is going to be really hard. I really hope I got this one right. We're going to give the edge to Dr. J because at the end of the day, Dr. J had the more accolades, but he also won an MVP and won a championship. Julius Erving averaged 22 points a game and made the All-Star game all 11 seasons in Philadelphia. And I'm sorry if you're an Allen Iverson fan and he's not here. I'm just going based off the statistics. Speaking of statistics, let's talk about one of my favorite stat sheet stuffers. For the Phoenix Suns, I have Steve Nash, who leads the franchise all-time in the amount of MVPs he won. Nash would shoot 50% from the field, 44% from 3, and 91% from the line. For the Portland Trail Blazers, I have Clyde the Glide Drexler, a player that was able to average 21 points, 6 boards, and 6 assists, and 2 steals a game during his entire career for the Portland Trail Blazers. He got the Trail Blazers to the NBA Finals, but of course, Michael Jordan had other plans, but he was still incredibly entertaining to watch and the greatest Trailblazer in NBA history. For the Sacramento Kings, we have Oscar Robertson, and he did it for the Cincinnati Royals technically, but the Big O averaged nearly a triple-double as a rookie, and then he got even better than that and did it in his sophomore season. 2 years later, he won MVP and would average 29 points, 10 assists, and 9 rebounds in his decade with the Cincinnati Royals. For the San Antonio Spurs, man, this is a race between Tim Duncan and David Robinson. Tim Duncan made 15 All-NBA teams and was recognized as an All-Defensive Player 15 times. Duncan's statistics were a paradigm of consistency, and he was called the big fundamental for a reason, so we're going to have to give it up to him. He was the cornerstone of a dynasty that won 5 NBA championships, and he was a Finals MVP for 3 of them. And he also added 2 in-season MVPs as well. For the Toronto Raptors, I have Kawhi Leonard. I'm sorry, but he's the only person in Toronto Raptors history to have won an NBA championship, and many have tried. He put Toronto on the map, and he completely changed the culture of the Raptors. I'm pretty sure down the line, Spicy P will get this honor, but for now, we gotta give Kawhi Leonard his love, even though he was only there for a year. And for the Utah Jazz, I have Karl Malone. It only seems fair to mention John Stockton with Karl Malone since the two spent an incredible 18 years together with the Utah Jazz, but Malone got more accolades, including 2 MVP awards. Karl Malone averaged 25 points and 10 rebounds a game over 18 years on the Jazz. He gets the nod here, but he couldn't have done it without an assist or several thousand from Stockton. And for the Washington Wizards, we have the recently deceased Wes Unseld, who played his entire career for the Wizards and led the Bullets to the NBA Finals 4 times in the 70s. He helped Washington win its only NBA championship in 1978, in which he was named the NBA Finals MVP. But at the end of the day, rest in peace, Wes Unseld.